there, welcome to Jimmy's Records and Tapes. I'm Jimmy Pardo. This week we're talking about 1983.
We've got it on vinyl, CD and cassette.
We've got pop rock, heavy metal, punk, funk, rap, and new wave. All sales are final, but you'll never regret all the music you get at Jimmy's Records and Tapes.
I'm loving music again. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Jimmy's Records and Tapes. We're talking about 1983. What was going on in the world? Well, Sally Ride was the first U.S. female to go into space. Motorola introduced the first mobile telephone. At the movie theater, you can see Vacation, Jedi, Flashdance. Jedi is, of course, Return of the Jedi. Not just a movie called Jedi. On television, HBO debuted the unwatchable Fraggle Rock. I'm sure somebody liked it. Not these eyes. Also, MASH had its final episode. 125 million people viewed that. I was not one of them. In fact, I was mad at my buddies Brian and Darren that had to go home to watch it because they were obsessed with MASH. Okay. Here's what your money gets you. Gas, $1.25. House is going to be $82,600, and you can get a pair of thermal boots for $25. Fun side story. Went to school once, grade school, in some thermal boots, and was sent home because it was too warm to wear them, and they thought I was making a mockery of the school, and I don't understand that to this day. Musically, best-selling song of the year was Every Breath You Take by The Police. Best-selling album was Thriller by Michael Jackson. The Grammy for Best New Artist was Culture Club, and the Grammy for Best Album was Thriller by the aforementioned Michael Jackson. But we are going to be talking about Paul Young's No Parlez. It is Paul Young's first album. It went to number 1 in the UK. Didn't really do all that great here in the States. It is produced by Laurie Latham. It was my first venture, I would say, into new wave. Because Paul looked the part. Paul looked new wave. But once you start listening to it, at the end of the day, it's just kind of blue-eyed soul, which would play into his next album, where he had a number 1 hit with Daryl Hall's Every Time You Go Away. But the songs on this album were Love Will Tear Us Apart, a cover of the Joy Division song, Wherever I Lay My Hat, cover of the Marvin Gaye song, and the closest thing he had to a single here in the States, Come Back and Stay, which was a pretty big video on MTV. I went to see Paul Young in concert in 1984, actually the next year, at the Cabaret Metro with my buddy Dave. And Dave, to this day, kind of makes fun of me because when Paul Young walked out, I waved. And I'm not 100% sure I did it for humor. I may have actually been waving to Paul Young like a lunatic. There weren't a lot of people there, and we were supposed to meet Paul Young after the show because of our record store connections, but Paul was under the weather, so I didn't get a chance to meet him. I did have the opportunity many, many years later to meet him, 30-something years later, with my buddy Steve. When Paul Young was doing a show in Los Angeles, I got to meet him, and it was in the top 5 most awkward interactions of my entire life. Not Paul's fault, the venue's fault, as the stairs coming from downstairs to upstairs empty right into his dressing room. And we walked in right as Paul was maybe getting ready for the show. And then I went, hey. This very shirt that I'm wearing right now, I bought at that very first Cabaret Metro show that I saw Paul Young at. This shirt sold for $10, and I only had $9 on me. So I literally had to beg strangers for another $1 so I could buy the shirt because the guy behind the merch stand would not let me buy it for $9. So if you're out there, the person who gave me the $1, I owe you. Hey, this week's quick hit is Journey's Separate Ways, parenthetical, Worlds Apart. It went to number 8 on the Billboard chart, and it was there for 6 weeks. That's a long time to be in one number. I am not a number. I'm a free man. That's The Prisoner. Just did a take to nobody. The video for this is hated by a lot of people. In fact, it's considered one of the worst videos made of all time. I don't care. I like the song, and I like the video. We played this album nonstop at the car wash where I worked at. In that year. Basically, everybody from my band, Rainbow Bridge, worked at the car wash. And we would play the song and album, Frontiers, nonstop. What we would also do at the car wash is to make ourselves laugh. Let's say a car wash costs $2.50, but you could add a wax to it for an additional 50 cents. For every wax we sold, we got a quarter. So you try to upsell. Oh, you want to get wax with that? It'll be $3 with the wax. And so Paul and I would come up with specials for the people. Now, again, it was going to cost $3 no matter what. So somebody would come up to the booth, and we would go, "How are you, sir? Good, doing well? Great, good for you." These are examples of what people would say to each other. And I would say, "Hey, we got a special going today. Who's your favorite Marx brother?" And no matter who they said, like if they said Groucho, I'd go, "We've got the Groucho special going on today. Here's what we're going to do. Car wash costs $2.50. But for an additional 50 cents, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run it through the car wash, right? Soap, water, the whole shot. At the end, we're going to throw a wax on it. And then when we're done, we're going to wipe that down with towels. We're going to dry off your car for you." We did it anyway. We're going to dry it down. And we could do that for just an additional 50 cents. And they fell for it every time. We didn't do it. Like, literally, there was a sign, car wash $2.50 with wax $3, but we would upsell it, and it worked every single time. And so I would leave there with a little change in my pocket going jing-a-ling-a-ling. Gonna call you on the telephone, give you a ring. We also, and by we, I mean they all did. I did not do this. Something called the void trick. So when somebody came up to the counter and said, "I'll take a car wash," instead of ringing in the $2.50 or $3 if they got wax, they would void a sale and then pocket $6. I never did that because that's against the law. One guy bought a moped. That is this week's Jimmy's Records and Tapes. If you enjoyed it, click like, subscribe. Hey, share the link with your music and vinyl-loving friends. I'm on Twitter at Jimmy Pardo. I also host the award-winning podcast Never Not Funny that you can find wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, that sort of thing. Until next week, the record's back in the sleeve.